Hello, and thanks for tuning in to the show that goes around the continent to bring you stories near and far. I'm Joker Rogers at Channels Television here in Lagos, and I'm joined by Vincent McCory from the Voice of America in Washington.
Well, thanks. I'm Vincent McCory at the Voice of America. Happy to be with you again for another edition of Africa 54. Let's start off with the latest from Nigeria. Joker Rogers in Lagos brings you that story.
Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima is calling on the Northeast Development Commission to expand the scope of its intervention in the Northeast region to cover more road projects regardless of their status. Senator Shettima made the call while flagging off the distribution of 15 billion naira worth of food items to governors of the region and the construction of a 22-kilometer road along Mafa in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital.
The groundbreaking event by the Northeast Development Commission (NEDC) coincides with the meeting of the Northeast Governors Forum, which is holding for the first time in 2023 at the Government House in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. Alongside the host governor, Babangana Zulum, and all other governors of the region, the Vice President performs the groundbreaking ceremony of a 22.5-kilometer road construction, which will link many communities within Jari and some parts of Mafa local government area. Done with the groundbreaking, the Vice President leads other dignitaries to the multi-purpose hall of the Government House, where the Northeast governors are hosting their quarterly meeting.
We thank God Almighty.
The Managing Director of the Northeast Development Commission delivers his welcome address.
The present economic situation has led to soaring price of food items, heightened food insecurity nationwide. In its national broadcast of 31st July 2023 on the current economic challenges in the country, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu announced some short and medium-term measures to be taken by the federal government to ease economic hardship being faced in the country.
One after the other, the governors deliver their goodwill messages.
The challenges seem to be endless, but our collective determination to overcome them remain resolute. The very fact that we have been able to identify most of the major challenges facing us as people in this sub-region, there are no doubt in the right directions towards solving these numerous challenges.
The Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, then makes his remarks.
The Boko Haram inflicted damages in the northeast to the tune of $9 billion. Borno alone had damages worth $6.8 billion. 956,453 units of private houses, making up 30% of the total stock of houses in the state were destroyed by the Boko Haram.
Afterwards, the Vice President leaves Maiduguri for Abuja, where he will take off to Kebbi State to flag off the construction of 1,000 houses across the northwest and north central states.
We're now being joined on the program by the Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Borno State, Mr. Sogum Maimele. Thanks for joining us today on the program.
Thank you.
So how is this going in Maiduguri and, the entire Borno State?
Thank you so much for this very important question. The program, it was well organized and well presented, and Mr. Vice President has clearly thanked the Northeast Development Commission for such initiatives and for quickly intervention of the food crisis that we are experiencing in Borno, particularly because of the removal of the fuel subsidy and as well as the shortfall of rainfall in the axis, that is the Northeast.
There are those local government areas that are still inaccessible, whether it's the roads are not so good, or whether there's water separating them from the state capital. So how are you able to get these palliatives to such communities who also need them?
Even before the federal government initiated these palliatives, the executive governor of Borno State has been on this palliative exercise for so long. especially those that were residing in Maiduguri when in official camps. When the governor has pronounced the official closure of the IDP camps, we have relocated the inhabitants to their ancestral homes, and from that period the governor has been touring all the local governments affected by this, particularly in Monguno, in Borno North, in Damasak, also in Borno North, Ngala in Borno Central, Jikwa in Borno Central, Mafa in Borno Central, Goza in Borno South, Damboa in Borno South. So the governor has been going around the clock to see that all the returnees have been enjoying the palliatives.
So how prominently do the local government areas feature in this plan?
Exactly, you know, the whole of the state is composed of the 27 local governments, and all the developmental aspects the governor put in place are in the local governments, particularly the mega schools that he has been building, the primary schools, the health clinics, all are in the local governments. And very recently, only last 2 weeks ago, the governor has commissioned some mega schools in Borno South, particularly in Biu, and also the skill acquisition centers in Biu and Shani. So all the developmental aspects we have been hearing from the state are being located in local government areas.
But we have the government building schools in several places as part of the Rebuild Borno initiative. So what are the plans for, children that were affected by, violence, children that could not go to school because of insurgency? And with all these schools that the government is building, what are the plans of the state government to, ensure that children get back to school and get back to learning? Those who were there before, and the children we call out of school children.
Yes, in the exercise of bringing back the children that are out of school to come and continue with their studies, the governor has made a very clear directive to the Ministry of Education that there should be a mass recruitment of teachers, as mass enrollment of pupils into primary schools and secondary schools. And when you can observe, some months ago, the governor himself was in Monguno for the enrollment exercise. He directed that all the children of those who are deceased should be enrolled into primary schools, and government will take the responsibility of sponsoring them from their primary school, secondary school, up to tertiary institutions.
And speaking of recruitment of teachers, you talked about mass recruitment and teachers and other local government workers. So how will they benefit from the 30,000 naira minimum wage?
Yes, the governor clearly directed that the committee to recruit the teachers, that 5,000 teachers, they should look for the qualified and those who are committed to teach, those who have the educational background to teach. If this number is actually gotten, then they should now start enjoying the 30,000 minimum wage. The governor is ready to implement the 30,000 minimum wage based on the qualified and committed teachers that will be recruited. So they will immediately start with the 30,000 minimum wage.
Right, Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Borno State, Sogom Mele, thank you so much for your time today on the program.
We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. After the break, fleeing the capital of Khartoum, refugees flood the Sudanese city of Atbara as war continues to grip the country. Welcome back to Africa 54. I'm Vincent McCory in Washington. Millions of Sudanese have fled the capital city, Khartoum, since fighting between rival generals began on April the 15th. Many of them fled to Atbara, northeast of Khartoum. Sid Ahmed Ibrahim visited the city and produced this report from Atbara, Sudan.
The city of Atbara is about 350 kilometers northeast of Sudan's capital, Khartoum. Today, Atbara is hosting people from Khartoum and elsewhere who've been displaced by the fighting between two rival generals that began in April. Some refugees choose to stay in Atbara and others use it as transit hub to Port Sudan or the neighboring country of Egypt. Community members like Yusuf Hassan have set up an emergency station that provides shelter and other basic needs.
We focused on the issue of providing housing for the displaced, and we were able to house a large number of people fleeing the hell of the Sudan War in the city of Atbara. They were housed in schools, homes, and guest houses, and the number of shelter centers in Atbara has reached 45 since beginning of the war.
Hassan says most of the work is done by volunteers like himself. The volunteers say they're facing supply shortages. The UN says that as of July 14, more than 3 million people have been displaced because of the conflict, including 2.4 million within Sudan. Sharaf Al-Wad fled Khartoum and says the people in Atbara have been welcoming.
The hospitality of people of Atbara was great. They received us. We stayed at houses, places. They provide us food, accommodation, and all the necessary requirement that for our own safety. But we still have a lot of gaps that need to be filled in medication, in food supply, in accommodation also.
Despite the difficulties Atbara faces in providing adequate support, it continues to host refugees. But activists say they need help and are appealing to international and other organizations for aid. For Saeed Ahmed Ibrahim in Atbara, Sudan, Salim Solomon, VOA News.
Healthcare development in the country has begun to receive major attention, with a total of $2 billion to be deployed in the fight against HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis and malaria in the next 3 years. The fund is coming from the United States President's Malaria Initiative, the Global Fund, and the U.S. President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief. Our State House correspondent, Empress Simon, reports.
Scaling up healthcare delivery to Nigerians is the crux of this meeting between Vice President Kashim Shettima and the global health partners at the presidential villa. The delegation is made up of representatives from the U.S. President's Malaria Initiative, the Global Fund, and the U.S. President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, PEPFAR. The coordinating Minister of Health is also attending the meeting, which holds behind closed doors. In a statement issued by the Director of Information in the Office of the Vice President, Senator Shettima is quoted to have said, improved health outcomes for all Nigerians, increased domestic financing for health, and promoting health industrialization. These are three major commitments I am making on behalf of my boss, and be rest assured that our word is our bond. End of quote.
I'm his SSA on the strategic communications and advocacy. So,
outside the hall, the visitors tell State House correspondents about their readiness to commit funds to support Nigeria's efforts to combat HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria.
Over the last close to 20 years, we've invested about $7.8 billion in supporting your fight against HIV/AIDS. We want to assure the government of Nigeria that we will continue to work with them under their leadership as they chart a new direction for the health outcomes in the country.
We are investing heavily in the key components of the health system, whether it's community health workers, disease surveillance systems, laboratories, or the provision of medical oxygen.
Added to the grants, the global partners will also provide training to Nigerian health workers across 36 states of the Federation and the FCT.
The two visitors, three of them, have now committed almost $2 billion in grant financing for health of Nigerians over the next 3 years.
It is expecting that this partnership would go a long way in addressing many of the challenges in the health sector.
With the growing impact of droughts caused by climate change and high food prices exacerbated by the war in Ukraine, food banks are emerging as a growing solution to hunger and poverty in Africa. A non-profit group in Nairobi, Food Bank in Kenya, distributed more than 500,000 kilograms of food last year to hungry families. Mohammed Yusuf reports from Nairobi.
Kenya's Poverty Report 2021, released by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, showed that 19 million Kenyans, about 38% of the population, live in poverty. 1 in 3 living in rural areas and 1 in 4 living in urban areas cannot meet their food needs. Metrin Polonyua of Nairobi is one of those in need. She says she has slept many nights hungry with her 2 children.
I'm pushing on with this difficult life. I wish I had a job. Food is expensive. 200 shillings isn't enough to buy a packet of maize flour.
Volonyua is among more than 50 people who receive dry food and vegetables on this day, enough to last a few days. Due to high food prices and a lack of employment opportunities, millions of Kenyans struggled to feed their families. Food Bank in Kenya was established in 2016 and collects food from large and small-scale farmers, exporters, supermarkets and other retailers. The organization's reach has expanded as the need for food increases.
As we speak, we are able to donate out to our beneficiaries or give out what we have to our beneficiaries to a maximum of over 3,000 kilos every day.
The organization has 3 distribution centers in Nairobi. People running homes for the elderly, teenage mothers and children come to this warehouse at least twice a month to collect food to keep the homes running and the vulnerable safe.
There are other ways of getting food, but this food has been very useful to us. Since we knew them, they have been helping us getting food. So they cannot call us and we refuse to come food. And we don't have food right now. The food in Kenya, life in Kenya has become very expensive and getting food is not cheap.
We rely totally on donors, on organizations like Food Banking and other organizations. So without them, we'd really not be able to run the homes.
The hunger situation is expected to persist in the coming months in Kenya and elsewhere. Food Bank in Kenya has expressed its commitment to assisting those within its capacity. Mohammed Yusuf for VOA News, Nairobi.
Nigerian students Oluyemi Shopade and his team have emerged victorious in the annual Kids Innovation Challenge hosted by Destiny Trust. The team, all students at a local technical college, built a smart compost system capable of transforming food waste into manure.
As Nigeria grapples with significant food shortages, the team believes the innovation could have profound implications. Team member Uchendu David explains that their system enables farmers to convert waste into manure efficiently.
Our project is an Arduino-based smart compost system. It was fabricated with a grinding and a mixing machine. What this project does is that it gets organic waste like our foods, our wasted foods, grass, spoiled yam, all sort of wasted foods, depending on the type, and then it can be able to turn this wasted food into compost manure. It can be able to turn it by itself, automated, so you have to just put in little or no effort in monitoring it.
And now we have met the contestants.
Destiny Trust organizes the Innovation Challenge through its Kids Innovation Hub, an initiative teaching coding and robotics to children to bridge the digital gap and provide employment in tech companies. This year's challenge saw a wide range of entries, including a baby watch system and a platform to assist farmers in moving goods from farm to customer. Co-founder of the Destiny Trust, Abimbola Ojenike, says it's important to get children schooled in ethical practices at a time when unethical use of technology is rampant.
We have that choice today to give every child that opportunity to use technology ethically, to tell them this is the way to go, this is how it can improve the society. And when we fail to do that, one way or the other, somebody is going to teach them another use of technology, and that's the one that becomes a problem to everyone, to the industry, to the tech industry especially. We're talking about the activities of hackers, scammers, cyber attackers of all kinds.
The event was very inspiring because when I was like 16, 17, what they presented today, I couldn't have ever thought of building something like that or presenting it. So it gives me, this kind of program and event gives me hope that, that the new generation, that they're all going into tech, and like getting the children involved in technology is going to really improve the state of our nation.
The team in first place receives a prize of 200,000 naira and a HP laptop. The runner-up and third place winners receive 150,000 and 100,000 naira respectively, along with a HP laptop each. After receiving the award, Oluyemi Shopade expresses his gratitude and determination.
This is an encouragement for us as Kingdom Tech. I will work towards more projects because of this amazing. Like we are happy about it.
The Kids Innovation Hub has trained almost 700 children in various tech skills since it opened its doors in 2018, fostering a space for innovative ideas to flourish and contribute positively to Nigeria's tech sector and the nation as a whole.
With warming ocean waters threatening much of the world's coral reefs, some ecologists are using simple technology to help restore them. Viewers Julie Tabo has more.
Coral reefs are in danger. Rapidly warming ocean waters is the main reason they're dying in record numbers. This disturbing trend has motivated some people to act. Johnny Clapus is a coral reef scientist and director of Raising Coral Costa Rica.
I've worked on coral reefs for a long time, mainly as a scientist, and I got really tired of telling people how bad it's going to be and decided to say, what can we do to make the reefs more resilient? And that's why we started this project.
Their project involves taking small pieces of coral from the wild and growing them in underwater nurseries for replanting on the reefs. The team uses simple technology to keep track of where the coral fragments come from to find the most resilient.
We're also distributing our corals to many more locations with things like temperature sensors and monitoring, just to make sure we are gathering as much information we can about where to put them in the future.
Restoration projects such as these are essential. By some estimates, the world has already lost 50% of its corals in the past 30 years due to global warming. If corals die, their disappearance will have a catastrophic impact on life both in and out of the ocean. Coral reefs protect our shorelines, maintain biodiversity in the water, and are essential to marine life. But for people like Clapus, it's also about keeping in place what's been in the ocean for millions of years. Another group that's helping to restore coral is ArchiReef, a climate technology company that's developed 3D-printed terracotta reef tiles that can be embedded into strategic areas of the ocean floor as a substrate to help grow new coral.
We place them with divers, we place them at the bottom of the ocean, and then we place coral fragments on top.
One of the benefits of the lightweight tiles is they can be moved to deeper, cooler waters as needed.
A diver can essentially deploy up to about 40 square meters in a single day by themselves.
That versatility has helped both projects achieve success as ocean temperatures continue to rise. In the words of renowned American oceanographer Sylvia Earle, the corals need the fish need the corals. If you take the fish away, the corals die. Take the corals away, the fish die. Julie Tabo, VOA News.
Well, and that's our show for today. You can find all the continent's top news and world news online at voaafrica.com. Check it out. I'm Vincent McCory in Washington. Channels Television has our last word.
We look forward to bringing you another show next week. To remember that channelstv.com is your source for news and other programming. I'm Joke Rogers. Thanks for watching and goodbye.